One of the biggest challenges that we face in stewardship in our current culture is defining reality. We have a lot of oral tradition in our church about this matter of how we fund our ministries. And what's really needed is an attempt, an effort to change the culture in light of what the reality is. It's not about fundraising. It's about generosity as a value of our spiritual journey. I think that one of the things that's missing in contemporary stewardship efforts is a clear definition about how this fits into the spiritual journey in Christian life. It's not a matter of funding the budget. It's a matter of understanding the truth of 1 Timothy 6 that says we really understand life if we're generous. It's a part of our spiritual value. In the last few years, our culture has changed in the area of giving behaviors. We have more younger generation who like to give restricted or designated, not unrestricted. It reflects their lack of loyalty to the institution as previous generations have had. Now, that's not necessarily wrong. It's just the way that they give. It's so silly for us not to adapt to some of these realities. For instance, the idea of giving every week is a foreign concept in our actual real culture. People aren't paid on a weekly basis anymore. They're paid every 2 weeks or twice a month or once a month, and they give on that basis. And to put energy into getting them to give something every week is wasted energy and misdirected. You know, I think one of the largest, the most challenging things about addressing stewardship effectively in the local church is our apparent inability to tell our story very well. How do contributions result in transformed lives? What is our return on investment? That's the language of the culture in which we live, and we need to embrace that culture. Return on investment stories would be very helpful. And I think a close second is clarity, the lack of clarity about what we really believe. We use a term, tithing. For most in our culture, that simply means whatever I put into the plate when it passes. But that's not what the definition of tithing is. What is your definition of tithing? What do you expect? What about God's ownership of all and our role as stewards? Those need to be communicated repetitively with great clarity. One of the things that has happened, obviously, is the change economically in our country. For the first time since the Depression, economic influences in our culture have adversely affected giving patterns and changed giving behaviors. But perhaps even more of a concern than that is the general change generationally within our culture. Different ways of communicating, different ways of expressing our faith, different ways to give. We can't overlook Facebook, email, websites, giving online, electronic fund transfers. And too few of our churches have responded to those with any kind of intentionality. One of the things that we need to change is this idea that stewardship is a seasonal event. We preach an annual stewardship sermon, and that should do it for us. Well, it never has. Jesus spoke about our relationship to money, second only to the kingdom of God. Now, I would not advocate that we use a third of our verbalization in church dealing with money, but we need to raise the level of positive discourse. We cannot, by silence, impact change that's needed.